Welcome friends to this episode on fixed deposits versus holding debentures. So what are the advantages, disadvantages of fixed deposit over debentures is what we'll be seeing in the course of this episode. First we'll talk about the fixed deposits in terms of the few parameters that are important for you to know. First is fixed deposits are typically issued by banks or NBFCs or companies having NBFC license. Second is bond fixed deposits by definition are always unsecured. Unsecured means anything happens to the company, that is the company goes in liquidation, the last person who will get the the money would be the fixed deposit holders. This would be little bit prior to the funds being given to the equity shareholders. To that extent, this is unsecured in nature. That is why one would see that the interest rate or coupon rate given for fixed deposits is much more than what you would typically find for a debenture or any other type of securities. We will talk about the premature withdrawal in case of fixed deposits. The premature withdrawal, that is withdrawal before the due date or maturity date or redemption date as some people would like to call it, comes with a price because you need to pay some penalty. It may be called by whatever name. It may be called as penalty, it may be called as processing fees, it may be called as XYZ. But the fact is, suppose you are to give an example, this is just a general example. It can differ from company to company, bank to bank. Suppose you're withdrawing 1 lakh rupees, doing a premature withdrawal of 1 lakh rupees, which is about 2 years away from your redemption date. Then you might get somewhere between 95,000 to 96,000 against your initial investment or principal of 1 lakh, provided you opted for a quarterly or half yearly or yearly interest payment. This is how the calculation works. In some other episode, we'll talk about what the calculations are or how the calculation is done to deprive you of your principal or to take money for premature withdrawal, stating that the cash flow of the company concerned would be disturbed because of this premature withdrawal. Who is the regulator for fixed deposits? The regulator is RBI, that is Reserve Bank of India, as far as India is concerned, for all fixed deposits issued by banks or NBFCs. Transmission. What is the meaning of transmission? Transmission is if the fixed deposit is held by a person and the person dies or passes away, then the nominees or the beneficiaries, how do they get the shares, the amount of the fixed deposit in their name or in their account is called a transmission. This again is treated as if it's a premature withdrawal. To that extent, the person who is deceased, if he is having 1 lakh rupees as per the earlier example, if you are doing an early withdrawal because you want to transmit because the person is no more, you will be losing about 4 to 5,000 rupees. This is the typical scenario used in all the companies, that is banks or NBFCs, which issues as fixed deposit. As compared to this, what is the other way of holding money where fixed return is promised? We will see. Those are debentures. Debentures sometimes are called debts, sometimes are called bonds, or sometimes are even called promissory notes. We will use debentures for the purpose of this discussion. Debentures are of two types. First, the debentures are issued by institutions. Marquee institutions issue debentures whenever they require funds, short term or long term, for working capital, for capital infusion, etc. They issue debentures. So here again, debentures are of two types: secured and unsecured. Secured is where there is some property or some asset of the company that is pledged in or mortgaged in favor of the issue amount, that is the issue of the debentures, covering the principal amount and the interest to the extent of the amount payable to the account holder. This is far better than an unsecured debenture or unsecured fixed deposits. Why is it better? Because there is an asset backing the principal amount as well as the interest payable by the company. This ensures that you lose less money in case of liquidation of the company. What are the unsecured debentures? Unsecured debentures are similar to fixed deposits. There is hardly any difference between an unsecured debenture and a fixed deposit, except that the regulator for both are different. We will see who the regulator is as we go along. Now again, debentures can be of two types, that is listed or unlisted. A listed debenture is where you will get to access the value of the debenture on a daily basis or periodic basis from either BSE or NSE as the case may be, where the debentures are listed. If it is an unlisted debenture, that means it is just like issuance by the company held by you as an investor. So here exit is a little difficult. As we go along, we will see how difficult or easy the exit is for exiting these debentures in terms of premature withdrawal. For premature withdrawal, in case of debentures, you need not actually withdraw because it is not possible for you to withdraw. What you can do is you can sell it in the market if it is secured listed debentures or unsecured listed debentures. You can sell it in the market and get whatever is the current value of the debenture. If it is unlisted, you need to appoint a broker or make use of a broker to get it get value out of this debentures. The disadvantage is because it's a very narrow market where number of buyers and number of sellers are limited. Unlisted debenture gets lesser value compared to a listed debenture with all the other details remaining the same. So ideally speaking, you should go for a listed debenture which is secured in nature. This gives you highest kind of security and flexibility in terms of being able to encash the money as and when required. Who is the regulator? Regulator is SEBI, that is Securities Exchange Board of India. Now, in case of transmission, as we saw earlier, in the case of fixed deposits, you have no option but to go back to the company, surrender the fixed deposits at a premature value. We saw that against 1 lakh with a 2-year remaining period for maturity, you may get between 95,000 to 96,000. That is a loss of about 4,000, 5,000 rupees. In case of debentures, you may be able to get it transmitted in your favor by going to the DP, that is depository participant, through whom the deceased person held the demat account. So this process is quite easy if the nominees are nominated or nominees are mentioned in the demat account concerned. So with just filling up of few documents along with the death certificate submission, you will be able to get it transferred or transmitted in favor of the nominees. So this is a far easier process where you don't lose money, except that you may lose brokerage or AMC, that is annual maintenance charges, that you may be paying to the DP or depository participant. This is a small price to pay for the flexibility of getting money as and when required, without disturbing the cash flow of the company which is issued the debentures. In case of premature withdrawal also, the same way, you will be able to sell it in the market at whatever rate is available then. Only disadvantage, if I may say so, is that you need to appoint a broker who is having access to the exchange, that is BSE or NSE, to get the debentures of your account. The pros and cons, as we saw the pros and cons in the pros of presentation, we saw the principle is kind of covered, whether you do a premature withdrawal or encashment or you let it go till the maturity date in terms of if it is a debenture as against the fixed deposit. One more advantage of debenture is you will be able to transfer it from A to B to C, etc. without too much of difficulty, because demat account is a must for all issuance of debentures. Next is the transferability. As we saw earlier, transferability is very easy wherever debentures are held in the demat form or in the electronic form. Early withdrawal again is easy, provided you are able to get a hold of a broker and sell it in the market. Of course, there is a small commission that needs to be paid to the broker. The exchange fees needs to be paid, but beyond that, you don't lose much money. It will be much lesser than this 4,000, 5,000 that we mentioned earlier for premature withdrawal. Ease of operations again, and most of the brokers or DPs have online system where you can transfer it. You can do transmission. In some cases, you will have to go physically, but by and large, electronic system is available which will allow you to transfer from the account of the deceased to your own account, that is a nominee's account. Touch point again here, those who are of the old fashioned or old thought in terms of having to have physical contact, fixed deposit is much better, for the reason that you need to go to the bank anyway for getting your pension and other such things. You can get to see your fixed deposits also, because the banks or the branches of the banks are touch points for issuance and further servicing or maintenance of the fixed deposit. Another advantage that fixed deposit has over a debenture is it can be linked to your savings account, and anytime you have, in most of the banks you have this facility, anytime you have over a particular balance in your savings account, that gets transferred automatically into fixed deposits. And in case you overdraw what money is available in your fixed deposit, that extra money comes out of fixed deposits that is maintained with the same bank. So to that extent, your flexibility is maintained. However, in case of debentures, the flexibility is in terms of not losing money if you're doing a premature withdrawal or you're doing a transfer of debentures to get the money out earlier. So having said this, it is for each person to decide whether he wants to go for fixed deposit or debentures in terms of what his future thought would be or goals are. Should you find this video informative and educative, kindly share it with your friends. Please press on the like button and subscribe to this channel. Should you have any doubts, queries and suggestions, please contact me at ramkbharosay@gmail.com or ramk1971@zohomail.in. Thanks.